We need it. Oxygen. It's why we breathe.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of Small Biz Stories. That's right. You've got me, Dr. LL, with my guest, Dr. Roz. So you're going to have two doctors. We're focused on the red today. Why? Because Dr. Roz is leading the love revolution. In fact, you can learn more about her at drroz.love, leading with love. So we're going to talk about love and entrepreneurship and small business ownership and all kinds of goodies today to mix things up. Dr. Roz, welcome to the show.
Oh, Dr. LL, let me tell you, anytime I get time with you is a gift to me. And so thank you, thank you, thank you for hosting me, for having me. You're amazing. I am just delighted to be here. So thank you.
Oh, I'm so excited because, like I said, you're just so easy to talk to and so much information. And we're going to give our auditory folks the visual cues because you have to see the jewelry that Dr. Roz gets made. And she also gets custom outfits made because her other part of her business is debt-free degrees. So she's found ways where you can go to school and really be able to ethically and legally work with the system so that you don't have to pay all those terrible, terrible tuition costs.
That's
But
right.
before we get to even some of that, I like to give our listeners who are on the iHeartRadio, Spotify, whatnot, the visual experience. So, Dr. Roz, describe yourself, what you're wearing, and the room that you're in so people can. Okay, that's who my guest is. Okay, I'm listening.
Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. So, I'm actually wearing a red necklace today that's sort of a chain. But I have another necklace that I wear, particularly if I'm talking specifically about debt-free degree that Dr. LL just mentioned. And it is a custom piece, and it's a big graduation cap, and then like a silver graduation cap on a necklace. And in the middle of it is a big heart because it's always about love yourself enough to say no to student loans and yes to financial freedom. So Dr. LL is exactly right. I can legally and ethically point you in all the ways that you can make money and save money and completely avoid student loans. So I can map any degree completely debt free. I also have a heart-shaped ring that it is so it's on my right hand ring finger, and it is so big I had to learn how to write with it once I picked it out. But it is a fossilized piece of coral, and so it's really, really big and in the shape of a heart. And I have a designer that designs jackets for me, and everything that I do and I wear is with intentionality because love is something that people think, it's mamby-pamby, it's weak, it's passive. But when you show up as love, then it makes me and others feel better. And so that's exactly why I do it. So I'm not wearing one of my jackets today, but I have several that I wear all the time. In fact, I think I have, I don't know, about 15. And so my jewelry designer is Green Eyed Taj, yes, Taj on Instagram. And my jacket designer is June Marie Brand on Instagram.
And we'll put those listings in because you have to see Dr. Roz, whose real name is Elizabeth, but that's okay. We'll be calling her Dr. Roz through the show here, complete with the multicolored fingernails and all kinds of stuff. I mean, she's just fabulous. And so it's really fun. For those of you that aren't getting the visual experience, head over to YouTube, Midlife Success, and get the whole visual. All right. So let's dive in here and talk about some of the other things about folks and what you're good at, because I like to introduce people on a level that makes it more personal. And knowing your whole brand around your love revolution is about that personal connection and forming connections. I think that this question is particularly important to you as a guest, and it usually stumps my guests. They go, "What my business is?" No, 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 no. We're going to get to that. I want you to talk about what you, Elizabeth, is good at.
Oh, you know what? I'm good at love. I am good at love. I really, really am. I don't know if you're how old most of your audience is. I just turned 55, and when I was 5 years old at summer camp, I did a shrinky dink. So for some of you, you may not have any clue what a shrinky dink is. A lot of people do know what that is. And basically it's sort of like a large 8 by 10 piece of plastic that you can draw on or write on or whatever. And then they put it in the oven and it shrinks it down to about the size of a credit card. So at 5 years old, Dr. LL, this is the shrinky dink that I made. And it says, God is love, love is God, to mom and dad and Catherine from Elizabeth. So I've known since I was 5 years old that love was a part of my story. And when I came home from camp, I gave it to my mom and she put it on her bureau. And it was there until about a year ago. And I said to her, I said, Mom, leaning into Love Revolution and, really leaning into 8 billion people loving 8 billion people, which is our mission. I said, sweetly, we have kind of a little family joke, but I was like, when you're no longer here, that will be the first thing that I take. And she's very Southern. She said, Sugar doll, you just go on up there and take it now. You go ahead and enjoy it. So it sits right here on my desk as this daily reminder that love has always been a part of our story. And love is a part of each one of our stories, all 8 billion of us. What happens is the world kind of comes in these messages and they go, love is stupid and love is weak and love is passive and it won't work, or you got to compartmentalize it, or love is safe for only those that you like or only those that you're in love with, like love for my mister. Dr. LL has a new mister. We're all excited about that. And so all the different ways. And so love really is, it really is about 8 billion people loving 8 billion people. And you mentioned my manicure. It is a rainbow, so it has 5 different colors. And all of you that aren't seeing me, you can hear in my voice that I'm very Southern. And like 3 years ago, I did this, what I thought it looked like Skittles, and I thought my niece would think it was funny. We were also doing a family vacation then. And so I did it for that. However, during the time that I had this manicure, I was also at a gathering where probably 95% of the people at this gathering felt that marriage should only be between a man and a woman, that if it wasn't that, then you were probably going to hell, or you were going to be ostracized, or whatever. And it was kind of a big extended barbecue. And a good friend of mine, who actually doesn't believe that, but so many people at the barbecue did, a good friend of mine's child saw my manicure and came out to me. And I thought, if that's all it takes for someone to feel safe is for me to have this manicure, then I will continue doing it. And so I've done it for 3 years, and people comment on it. And then I have the opportunity to tell that story because it's important to me that people feel safe.
And for those of you, again, that don't have the full visual experience, Dr. Roz has the pride flag in the background behind her Love Revolution logo. So I think it is really important, especially in this era where there's a lot of uncertainty and people are very outspoken one way or another, pro or con. There doesn't seem to be the same level of middle ground and level of acceptance. And let's talk about that and these trends that are disrupting love. We've got everything from AI dating
Mhm.
sites now who do the back and forth banter for you, because who can be bothered with that nonsense? That just takes time to actually get to know somebody. Next, I'll put my AI bot on the case. We've got social media where it really is this curated micro slice. Oh, look at the
Yes.
right angle, the filter. Yes, I'm thin. No, I'm not, but
Yes.
I look good. And now
Yes.
you've got on Tinder adding the height measurement, that's putting that on and verifying it. So now you can know and filter your prospective dates based on height.
Wow.
And of course, in the world that we live in, with all of the online hate, the fake news, one group pro, not, just so much extremism, where did love go, Dr. Roz?
Well, we have to start with what our definition is. So, my definition of love is letting others voluntarily evolve and letting ourselves voluntarily evolve. So, it is meeting people right where they are and saying, I see you and you have dignity and you have worth. And I believe that all 8 billion people on the planet have a spark of divinity, that you have a soul, you have a heartbeat, you have dignity, you belong here. What happens though, Dr. LL, is when people hear my mission, they will say, "Oh my gosh, that's great. Yes, I'm on board with that. I can agree to love 7.9 billion people." But those people, and they'll do their finger like this, those people, I cannot love them, and I don't want them to love me. It's always this, like they never name the them. They never talk about what it is. And for different people, it's different groups, right? And so when people are lulled into thinking, if I just love 7.9 billion people, I'm good enough. No, it is all 8 billion of us because we are all interconnected. And when we get away from that and we forget that, or we've never been taught that, or we've been taught, completely the opposite, which Dr. King talked about, this rugged individualism. And many of us are brought up in that, not understanding that we're all interconnected. We have to, Dr. LL, we have to get to a point that if there are policies that are enacted that I don't want for me or my family, that I need to actively stand against them for your family too. And until we
That's
can
right.
get to that point, it's going to be all separated and polarized and divisive and all of that. And so that's how we get there is realizing you will never ever look into the eyes of someone that the universe, the God of your understanding, does not love.
And I think that that's a really key thing, that it's got to be an all or none, right? Because we
Yes,
can't do things conditionally, especially love conditionally. I
yes,
will only love you if,
yes,
right? You're absolutely perfect. You never raise your voice. You treat me like a princess. You do
yes.
all the dishes. You make the bed. You do the da 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 da, right? That never happens. The love that we have to have at that core has to bring in the good and the bad
Hmm.
of, everybody
Hmm.
that we're involved with,
Yeah,
even at a
yeah,
professional level,
yeah.
right? You can't sort of
Yeah.
hate your boss, but then like, I love my job. And this, you just start to compartmentalize. And I think we lose the plot through all of that.
Yes, we do. We do. We do. And I was talking to somebody recently. So I've been married for 14 years to literally the best mister on the planet. I'm sure Dr. LL yours is too. I'm delighted for you. I do. For me, I have the very best. Now, I wake up every morning at 5:30. He wakes up at 5 and he goes in and he has his breakfast, and then he eats my lunch. Now I work from home, but he takes his lunch with him, so he makes both of our lunches. And when I wake up at 5:30, I have my drink sitting there and I have my breakfast sitting there already at 5:30 every morning. Yes. Amazing,
That
absolutely amazing. And I was talking to somebody and I said, that's my love language because he knows how to love me well. Because it's not conditional, but he is intentional to take the time to get to know me. And I was talking to a young married woman recently, and she was complaining about how her new husband didn't do something with the ironing board or something, something. And she said, he just will never put it up, blah, 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 blah. And she said she had done something sort of passive aggressive to make the point to him that he needed to, put away this ironing board. I said, do you know, my Mr. and I have been married for 14 years. And do you know, I have never once, not one time, I am not exaggerating, not one time have I ever taken out the garbage in the bathroom. And she looked at me and she goes, what? I said, for me, I can always stick one more Q-tip in there. I can always cram one more thing in there. His level of where the garbage is full is always before mine, every single time. And so she just looked at me and I was like, maybe it's not his thing. Like, why do you want to expend that energy to try to get him to do the thing that you want him to do? Just, you know, like Mr. would never say to me, why don't you ever take out the garbage? Because there are things that I do. I mean, Mr. He does not plan our outings or our dinner parties or, presents for extended family. He doesn't plan any of that. I mean, literally, he shows up at the gift exchange like, oh, is that what we got you? Well, I hope you love it. Yeah, he has no clue. That's okay. Like it's just figuring that out.
Oh, it is. It is so funny you talk about that. Um, Me and my mister, now, newly married for a month, but we've been
Oh,
together for 13 years. And so
Wow.
a long,
Okay.
long time I've raised his children and we've gone
Oh,
through all of that, like being a step monster and all that sort of good stuff. And because I'm a
oh,
step monster, I make the point that they got a bonus mom because I am not the evil step monster. So that's
right.
why we celebrate Step Monster Day the week after Mother's Day to honor
Oh,
me and what I do for them because I love the
oh,
kids. But anyway,
oh,
that said, so Nick and I, we have this whole thing where, like you said, there's these just different roles and understanding. And if something comes down and oh, like it hasn't been done, then we don't debate about it because we really argue, but we'll talk about it and go like, I think that's a pink job. And he's like, no, 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 I think it's definitely pink. I'm like, no, no, I think it's blue. That's a blue job. That's what you have to do. I'll do the pink ones, you do the blue ones.
yeah,
And
yeah.
then, we get inevitably get into it. And then ultimately, if there's two things left, then fine, you take one, I take one, right? Because you have to
Right.
compromise. You have to make it work.
Right, right. You do, you do, you do, you do. You know, it's interesting because my mister is, we call him, he's Alexander's bonus dad or plus dad. That's what Alexander came up with. And Mike said, as long as you never call me your plus size dad, I'm good to go. So yeah, Alexander's biological dad is very much in his life and as well he should be. I mean, that's great. And also then Mike came in and when he was 12, and so he's close with both of them. In fact, there's this really cute story because Alexander's dad is Brian, and Brian worked nights, evenings, and weekends, and so he was really unable to participate in being like a band parent. But Mike works Monday through Friday during the day, and so Mike could go and be a part of the band parents or whatever. And so Alexander's ninth grade year, nobody knew us, he was brand new in the school and, all of that. And so Mike had gone maybe 4 or 5 weekends. And so everybody knew, well, that's Alexander's dad. Well, then Brian wants to go also. One night he's like specifically, which was very sweet, he had specifically taken the night off so that he could also go participate as being a band dad. And so anyway, they were like, well, who are you? And he was like, I'm Alexander's dad. And so they look at Mike and they look at Brian and they go, oh, because they've decided they're a couple and that they're the ones that are married.
You go.
And
Right. So
it was
well,
like, okay, but everybody was fine with it. It was good. It was like, oh, no, no, no. Yep, married to one, married to the other. Okay. So, it however you show up in love for whoever. Like I bet Dr. LL, you are the most amazing bonus mom. I bet whatever you do for them is amazing. I have never thought about celebrating a week after. Mike doesn't have any kids, so I'm not a bonus mom. I do have like 15 other babies that call me mama that I've just adopted and collected along the way. But I think that's absolutely beautiful that you have your own day.
as I think it should be. And I think there should also be for like stepdads, like stepdad day, like the Friday after, because a lot of kids are now raised by parents from through multiple marriages and they've got access. And it's why shouldn't everybody be celebrated? It's not because, oh, okay, there's some biological connection and therefore you hold supreme rights, over the child and accessing to Father's Day or Mother's
Yeah,
Day. It doesn't make sense. Again, I think that's the antithesis of love and what you're
yeah,
doing, that we have to all learn to love each other, coexist with the ex, figure it out, because now you're part of the team. You have a
right,
shared job in the
right,
rearing of that child to make
right,
them a fully formed, functional adult who
right,
is resilient, who is kind, who is compassionate, who
right.
understands that there's differences. And one of the first lessons they learn is right through divorce, that their parents came together in love, but then divorced because of differences. And it's all about what happens next and how do you learn to navigate those differences, don't you
Yes.
think?
Yes, absolutely. 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 I have a dear friend right now who she's navigating, she has five and he has four. And so they're navigating, all of those, those intricacies. And they were recently in Atlanta. And so I got to meet one of his four, which I had never met. And so it was, I mean, it was just delightful to see them together. And, it's with that intentionality of, hey, I'm going to show up for you and I'm going to love on you and we're going to figure this out. But Dr. LL, each one of us has a choice every single day in every single situation. And you can look at a situation. We just had something yesterday that happened. We had gone to a restaurant. It's not it's a chain restaurant, and so we're not necessarily we don't go to that location very often. We had horrendous service. When I tell you, from the time we sat down till the time we got two waters and a loaf of bread, or whatever the bread basket thing was, I think it was 35 minutes. And finally somebody, and then they put in the order, and Mike and I always we generally share our entree, and so they gave us the wrong entree, which was kind of a piddly little thing for us to share. It just was. And so, and after, I guess because we had said something about the water, after, like 25 minutes, we didn't have it and we finally got it. Then when she finally brought our entree, she kind of popped it on our table and she goes, "The other plate is underneath. Do you need anything else from me?" And so
Hi.
Mr. did say something to the manager, and the manager came over. And so she's kind of standing over us, and she's like, and I was like, could you just sit down? So I scooched over, and the manager sat beside me in the booth. I said, "Look, everybody's having a bad day. Everybody, we all have bad days. We all, like, I don't know what's going on with this person. I don't want this person fired. I don't want this person like exactly chastised. I want you to be aware of our experience, and also please don't get her in trouble. Like, please love on her. Like, if there's some sort of." And so anyway, the manager, like, her words didn't say it. Her face said, "I've had a lot of problems with this particular person." And so, but she didn't really say that, and I was really grateful. And we still left her a generous tip, because you just don't know the battles that somebody's fighting. And if she acted that way to 10 different tables, probably, eight or nine of them maybe wouldn't have quite responded that way. And maybe that's why she was like maybe bristly, thinking, like, you just never know. And so why not always choose love? Why not always choose? Because I think you said something earlier about it being either complicated or convoluted or something. I forget exactly how you said it. It's just so easy. It's just so easy to choose love. It just truly, truly is. You've got to train yourself, because the world will kind of get in there. But at your core, who you were made to be, when the universe said, "This is the time that you're going to be on this planet with all of your gifts and all of your zone of genius and everything that's in you," the universe knew we needed you. And so you show up in your highest best self. One day, somebody said, "What do you envision for the world?" And I was like, 8 billion people loving 8 billion people. Yeah, and I was like, "What do you mean, and?" And they
It's
just kept
everything.
pushing me, and finally I was like, "I want to see a world where astronauts are like looking and orbiting the Earth, and the Earth is vibrating at purple, because each one of us is vibrating at our highest best self." That's what I want to see. And so it just seemed like, I guess, 8 billion people loving 8 billion people wasn't quite big enough, but okay. So,
I know, right? Stop thinking so small, Dr. Roz. Like, oh, come up with a real vision, right?
like, how do I go bigger than that? But okay. Yeah.
No, no, I get it. But that's just it. It is all of that vibrational energy. And like you said, there's always people who go, "Oh, that's a little woo-woo," or "There is no universe, it's just God," or "It's just whatever it is in your religion in which you've grown to understand and accept." But there's all these different variations. I think if it does come down to anything, it does come down to energy, because energy is a universal constant. And you can see it. And I think that that's part of the reason where some of my guests, like folks like you're just radiating. You have that aura of love, of energy, of positivity. And it's not to say that, you've got unicorns pooping out rainbows all day long and everything in your life, right? That's
Right.
not what's happening. We've all got stuff up and
Right.
down, but you work
Right.
through it. And to me, I really hold the same philosophy. It takes so much effort to be negative.
Yes.
And I know people within my very close circle and family, even specifically, that they just hang on to that misery and
Yes.
dysfunction and
Yes.
negativity. And you're like, "Oh my God, let it go."
Yes. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So you mentioned debt free degree earlier. Last summer, I published a book, Debt Free Degree, and I absolutely loved it. I love writing the book. I love talking about the book. All of that. And people have said to me, when are you going to write your Leading with Love book, your Love Revolution book? And I was like, I don't know. It's kind of been in the back of my head, but like I just don't feel this like burning desire to write it like I did with Debt Free Degree. And then Mel Robbins published the Let Them Theory,
Yes.
which is the let it
Fantastic.
go. And for me, so I'm curious if you agree with this. Let them is really powerful. But in her book, followed very closely on the heels of let them, which is letting others voluntarily evolve, is let me. That's the power of the book. To me, everybody's like, I got the let them tattoo or I got the let them hashtag or whatever. It's the let me. That's the power.
So I agree that it's the power, and not that I'm in any position to say anything negative about Mel Robbins, because she's always been one of my favorite people, and I have followed her for, I don't know, 10, 15 years since she
Oh,
came on the
wow.
scene. But I thought that the Let Them book, the first half was so powerful and just you really couldn't put it down. We had to say, yes, I need to let this go. But then the let me part, which is the most powerful part of the message, because if you're going to let them, you've got to make the choice, right? Again, it's all about intentionality. And like you, I sign off on my emails and letters, be intentional or be positive,
Yeah.
because that's what we have to be. But anyway, back to the book. But the let me half of it, I just thought so much of it was like redundant, and the power of the message was lost in it, kind of rambled on. And I thought that was really a disservice to the book and to the movement, because that's what it is. It's
Hmm.
about you have to make the choice. You have to make the choice to let it go and let
Yeah.
them do their nonsense. And
Yeah.
you have to make the choice about what you're going to be triggered by or not triggered. And you have to choose what vibrational energy you
Yes.
want to put out. Do you want to
Yes.
be the sourpuss and be the Eeyore all the time? Or do you want to be the Tigger bouncing on your tail, right? You have a choice.
I cannot believe you just said that because that's Mister's nickname for me is Tigger. Totally. Totally. I have two Tigger memes in my phone right now that I send out all the time. So that's so funny that you said that. Yeah. Yeah, we all have a choice. I wonder if part of it is for a bazillion people, let them is so novel that's what landed, and maybe there'll be a follow-up that's all about let me. I don't know. I just people don't even have a concept of let them, much less the
No.
let me. And I recently was introducing somebody to a networking opportunity. And so I had introduced her, and I introduced her in the way that the leader of the networking opportunity likes to be introduced. Well, it was via text, and so it just so happened that the leader of this networking opportunity, in getting ready for the week, was texting on a Sunday. Well, my friend answered back, and then they had this whole dialogue, and then my friend was frustrated, and then my friend said to the leader of the networking opportunity, I don't think this is for me. And then my friend texted me and she said, all of this is just too high pressure sales, and he's texting on a Sunday. And I'm
Mm.
thinking, yeah, he's texting on a Sunday because he's answering you and letting you know at the beginning of the week how wanted you are in this networking opportunity. You didn't have to answer. But like you've had seven messages back and forth, and now he's the one that's pressuring you when really you're the one engaging with him. But she doesn't understand let them and let me. So her choice was you've come in my space. I've interacted with you, so I've given you the message that it's okay to be in my space, and also I'm going to shut it down and tell somebody else I didn't want you in my space on Sunday afternoon. Well, none of that has anything to do with him. It all has to do with my friend.
Absolutely. And that's why I think I said, like, the power of Mel Robbins, like, movement in the book, it should be let me first, because that's the choice you have to make, how you are going to behave, how you are going to show up, which you are going to accept or not accept. And as we talked about at the beginning of the podcast, am I bringing all of these conditions and boundaries to it? I will love 7.9 billion people, but not the other 200 million people because I have made a choice.
Right.
Right? So it should be let me so I can get to that headspace. And then if
Yeah.
I can get there and made my choices, then I can let them and realize because they're no longer aligned with what I stand for and the
That's
positivity that
brilliant.
I want to radiate in my interactions.
Yep. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. That's brilliant. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, I didn't come up with the acronym letting others voluntarily evolve. I don't know who there's, albums out there about that and, different people have used that. And then, just the letting ourselves voluntarily evolve, that came about as a conversation. It was like, oh yeah. So let others let me, that kind of thing. But it really is that beautiful gift to ourselves to let us voluntarily evolve. Like we get to be at the place where we want to be and giving ourselves, ample time and room and grace to get there. Really stressing and striving and turning, it's just so hard. Just so hard.
It is, and it's really hard to find a partner in this. I know a lot of people in my friends, they're saying, "Oh, I wish I had a soulmate. I should this." Well, maybe a soulmate is too grand of a notion, but if you can find somebody who you can connect with, and you say you talk about safe spaces, who you can really trust, and you've got that back and forth and agreement and partnership. And so with my mister, I mean, that was one of the first things early in our relationship where I felt, yeah, we could book or buy the tickets to that concert. It was 3 weeks from now. I thought, yeah, we'll probably still be dating. And because with so many of the other guys I'd gone, it was like Drew Barrymore, whatever that movie was, where like 50 First Dates or something.
Mhm.
And it was like, okay, you're not going to see you again, not going to see you again. But I felt that. And then when we were approaching things, and especially when it came to rearing his children, it was very much a partnership. And he said, why do you call it partners? Because that's a business term. It reduces what we have and that there's intimacy and there's love and there's connection. I said, no, actually, I think it really enriches it because we're bringing different things to the table and we're always there to make sure and help the other. And maybe
Yes.
sometimes you go, you come only this far and I go that far to meet you. Maybe other times you go way past the middle and come meet me on that side. But at
Yes.
the end of the day, it's kind of middle-ish and
Yeah.
there's all the love and positivity and
Yeah.
hope that goes around that. So I
That's
feel
exactly.
really, really lucky that I
Yeah.
found him.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Well, with romantic partners, with in any place where you're looking to lead with love, one of the ways to do that are the three C's that I talk about. And so the first
Mhm.
C is commit. Are you committed? It is a choice. Are you committed to leading with love in all of your relationships? And then especially when you're encountering something like you just said, then the second C is curious. So rather than immediately going in and going, go like, I'm curious, help me understand what's going on here.
Right.
And then the third C is collaborate. Because what happens, Dr. LL, is if you and Nick, is that his name?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you and Nick, if you decide, okay, here's the situation, but instead of us looking at that situation, I'm going to tear Nick down. I'm going to say, well, you're stupid, or you're this, or you didn't ever do this, or you didn't ever blah 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 blah, or blah 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 blah, and y'all, then it starts to become a power struggle. But if you two link arms and the two of you decide, hey, we're a partnership, we're going to collaborate, we're going to focus on this issue, then together you're looking at ways to address the issue instead of ways to be in a power struggle with one another. And that is a partnership, that is collaboration. And then you get to say, yeah, in a business relationship, I don't kiss all of my business partners, but I'll give you a smooch. So yeah,
That's
there are other
right.
ways to say partners with benefits or whatever.
Exactly. And then that's the thing too. I gave him credit because so many of the other guys that I had started to date and that at that time, they were also going through a divorce and raising their children and dealing with all of this. And all they spoke about was just hate about
Yes,
their ex.
yes,
And, Nick never did that. And he's like, well, clearly we had differences. That's why we divorced. But he never spoke poorly
yes,
about his ex in front of the kids. It was always, well, talk to mom, go about this, think about that, and just had and kept her really omnipresent within the relationship, which again when you're coming into it in as someone like me as a stepmom, you've got to either embrace that that's going to happen, or again, like the let me, let them get
Mhm.
totally triggered by it and say, like, I can't deal with this.
Mhm.
There's one too many people in this relationship. It doesn't work. But you've
Mhm.
got to get focused on what the goal is, which is, like I
Yes.
said, raising a healthy, functional human being,
Yes.
right? Raising
Yes.
kids. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I bet there are people who meet you that have no idea that you're not their mom. I've got a good friend that I honestly, the way she talks about, the girls and my husband and blah, 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 blah. It was, I mean, years before I knew that she was the bonus mom and the girls were there twice a month and, two a month in the summer. And I was like, really? Because she just the way she talked about them, it's like that language, that intentionality, that collaboration. It's just beautiful. It's just absolutely beautiful.
Yeah, it just, like I said, like we make it work, right? And it's just, it has been good. And I also want to give the message out to people that it can happen at any age. For
Yeah.
those of you that are having the visual experience, and yes, I am in red, matching, Dr. Roz here, of course, because I knew we'd be talking about love today. But like, we met on Match.com when I was
Um,
40, right?
um,
And so you're thinking, okay, is that even going to happen? And then we ended up with this just wonderful relationship. And I'm
yeah.
going to indulge the audience because we're talking about love. I'm going to pull up, and Dr. Roz gave me permission. We agreed to this at the start of the show, just to show two quick wedding photos. And we're going to do this. So there's this one here. So we're at the Weehawken Pier in Jersey, and that's
Oh,
Manhattan in the background.
yes.
Which is just like, I was so excited when the photographer gave it. And because
Oh,
my vision for our wedding photos, I said, well, I'm a bit theatric. Like, I like a bit of drama around that.
oh,
And they delivered. They said, oh my God, here, it's epic. And I'll share just one more so I don't like completely alienate the audience and indulge, thank you for indulging me here. And
yes.
then
Oh,
this
I
one,
love it.
like, just,
Yes.
just so happy. Like, it was just perfect.
Yes.
And just like our relationship. So this kind of stuff can
Yes.
happen, and it's just a matter of, how do you get there? Now, let's bring things around, back from love, and talking about how you can operate as a business and drive a movement. Because with you, Dr. Ross, it's all about connection, building networks, outreach, all of that stuff. Talk to us about some of the things and give us tips on what you do, because a lot of business owners, entrepreneurs need to build those connections, but maybe
Yes.
not everybody's as good as it as they should be.
Yes, 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 yes. Well, I talk about, particularly in a business perspective, that leading with love increases both your passion and your profits. So when you are love centered, you're really, really clear on this is who I serve and this is who I serve well. This is who I love serving. And imagine you're putting that energy out there versus I don't want to have to do that, or I don't know about that, or blah, 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 or I got to put up with this team that I've developed, or, I'm in this corporation and I didn't hire all these people and I inherited them and blah, 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 blah. But when you go into it and you just say, oh, this is what I'm given and this is the sphere that I get to love on. And again, increasing your passion, increasing your profits. Many times we're encouraged to leave love at the door in a corporate business setting. And it's like saying, yes, walk in there with only one arm. Like to leave love at the door is leaving our essence there. And just like you were saying, how you sign your emails, all of my emails are signed, most of them agape, Dr. Roz, or, whatever, love you, or, hey, beloved. And some of me said, oh, Elizabeth, you can do that for your own stuff, but you can't do that with a corporation like Apple or Coca-Cola or Delta. Oh, I beg to differ. Oh, I have absolutely signed email. And like on a Zoom, I worked with this group from Ernst and Young, and we were working together. And, at the end, I mean, it was a team. Like we really, once a week we would meet. And I was like, okay, love y'all. See y'all next week. They're like, love you. Bye. At Ernst and Young, it's like, okay. It's okay to say that. It's okay to bring your full self there. Now, how did I mean it? I mean it in an agape, unconditional, 8 billion people loving 8 billion people way. I didn't mean it in a, romantic way or even a brotherly love kind of way. It is I see you and you have dignity. And it's a way to convey that.
And I think it's important that we do show up authentically and that we convey this. And like the world needs more positivity. My God, it's a dumpster fire out there right now, right? So we need to lean on each other and find ways to be able to elevate that vibrational energy and collective sense of positivity. But at the same time, where I'll say, like, well, so Elizabeth, if I said at the end of my meeting with a bunch of New York and New Jersey folks, like, love y'all, it would be, oh my God, Laurelyn has two heads. What is wrong with her, right? Because it's that New York edge, right? And everybody in Jersey's cranky because everybody just sleeps here and they commute for 6 hours a day to go in and out of the city. So everybody's mad, right? And so it's also, I guess, the reason that underscores why we should try to find ways to break down some of that negative energy and those barriers and let people know we do care,
Yes.
because not everybody is going to be as compassionate as you are with the gal that you talked about at the chain restaurant there where
Yeah.
she was waitressing and
Yeah.
was having a bad day. What do we do when people around us are having a bad day? How do we navigate that?
It is navigating in a way that you're understanding your audience a bit. And so, like with you, if people are, commuting 6 hours and that kind of thing. I remember we were in New York, and there was a little like cafe right around the corner from where we were staying, and so we went every day. And every day I was like, "Good morning." And they were just like,
That's so not New York, yes.
And like the fourth day, like by this time, in Georgia, if I've been somewhere 4 days in a row and somebody's, giving me my croissant, then, and I was like, how are you doing this one? I mean, everybody was staring at me. It wasn't until much later that somebody explained to me, a little bit like the soup Nazi, that, like you're taking up time from people. It's not. So, I didn't know that then. So now, if I were in New York and I wouldn't necessarily with my Southern accent, how y'all doing this morning? So great to see y'all. Now, what do I want? What do I, I would go in and go, good morning, love. I want a croissant. Just like add one word, something, somehow, some way. It's entirely possible, Dr. LL, that people who don't know you or people who do know you might say, if you answer, say love y'all at the end of something, that you've lost your mind because they've known you. But like bring new people they don't know. And so
Right,
you
well,
have the
that's just it.
opportunity. And then you begin, I just need to say, I just love y'all. I just love, have you lost your mind? The world needs more positivity. It just makes me feel good to let you know. Whatever it is. Like know your audience, but also it's just such a fine line, and it goes back to let them let me, letting others voluntarily evolve, letting ourselves voluntarily evolve. There's a time where we need to show up 100% as open and loud as we can be. There are times that people have asked me to tamp my light down, and I've said yes to that. I mean, there were decades of that. I don't answer yes to that any longer. I might, moderate it a tad, but I'm going to show up as authentically me. You like it or not, that's on you. But this is who I am. And me tamping myself down didn't do anybody any favors.
No, and that's just it. Again, it's back to the how the podcast started, right? On condition, right? On
Mhm.
condition that you don't show up too loud, too often, to this, to that, then I can kind of maybe sort of possibly get there, right? That doesn't work. And I also think, again, this is a podcast where most of our listeners are entrepreneurs, all genders too. So we've got a pretty wide
Yes.
audience, and you asked about the ages. We get a lot of people, I guess, maybe peaking somewhere like in their 40s. That seems to be the bulk of our audience. But again, it's on all sides, right? It's a bell curve. There's people everywhere on all sides of all of the equations. But anyway, that said, what I think is important for folks to walk away from this episode with is that your day is better if you feel better. We all know, right? When you wake up sick and you've got that freaking cold that's just come in, your throat's closed and scratchy, your eyes are crusty from pink eye. Like I've had pink eye, I don't know, 50, 60 times, right? I touched something in an airport and I'm doomed. But anyway, you wake up and you're like, and you've got that flu ache and your body's
Mhm.
everywhere and you're hanging over the toilet, right? We all get the image.
Mhm.
We don't feel good. And when you don't feel good, you can't do anything. And it's really, really hard to be positive and dig yourself
Mhm.
out. It's just you become this negative Nelly. And I think if we adopt as entrepreneurs a positive mindset and
Yes.
say, you know what, yesterday didn't happen, but maybe today is that day,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
we embrace being more positive and more optimistic, maybe our days won't feel so bad. And
Yeah.
maybe if we, right, we've seen those viral videos, if one person smiles or waves at another person, like, hey, pass it on. And then it goes on so that you have people sharing and connecting with and saying, hey, we're part of the community rather than get out of my way, idiot.
Yeah.
Right? It makes a big
Right.
difference.
Right. 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 And both of those are conveying the same message. Hey, let's work together, let's figure it out, or get out of my way, idiot. Both of them, like we're heading to the same end goal, but which way do you want to go through that? I don't want to go through that yuckiness. I want to, get there this other way. So yeah.
Yeah, that's how I've been. Yeah, I've just been on a crusade to escape toxicity everywhere I can, right? I mean, it's just, yeah,
Yeah.
embrace what's positive. So,
Yeah.
as we're coming to the end of our show here, and I love that we've had a nice long episode, how and where can people find you?
Yes, 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 yes. On my website, drroz.love, all of my website pages end in love. If you go to drroz.love/leading with love, then you get access to a little bit more of my leading with love story. You get some more information, and you have an opportunity to sign up to earn a bonus session with me, just so you can dig in and say, okay, how do I lead with love? I have people all the time, that have gone through my leading with love coaching, and they'll say, oh, it just completely transformed the relationships I have with, my spouse, my kids, the people in the grocery store. It is like understanding how we can be love centered. It's a really transformational and easy way. It's not that it's gut wrenching and difficult, and it's just changing our perspective just the tiniest bit.
Well, and what I love about it, when you've got all your clients from all over the world, they head over to Dr. Roz here and in Leading with Love. What I like about it is that people have an opportunity to get to know the Dr. Roz sort of, and I don't, I'm thinking Oz and behind the curtain, but that's not it because you're who you are, but you have your public persona. And as people get the chance to get to know you on a more intimate level, then you share more of your history in that. And then I think it gives people the opportunity to have an even deeper connection because now they've seen something that maybe the rest of the public hasn't. And it might be that opportunity that you find a place to spark and connect. And I'll give you an example. One of my guests a few weeks ago, she shared after the show that she said, look, I've rebuilt this business, but I had to because I was a victim of domestic violence. I was in a hospital, he took everything, he left me there, for dead, da 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 da. And what she's rebuilt. And you're like, wow, it's a huge story. And then we connected on that level because I was also a victim of domestic violence. And so
Mhm.
you don't know, right, until you get
That's
that
right.
chance to talk to somebody and you're willing
Wow.
to open up and
Yes.
share. And that's what I love about the, drroz.love/leading with love, that you can get to know you at the surface level, or people can get the chance to,
Yes.
just go deeper below that surface and really get to know who you
Exactly.
are and all that you bring.
Oh,
So
thank
I think
you.
it's fabulous.
Thank
Last question, because it is our signature question, and we sort of kind of answered this in the beginning, but we're going to do it just to be, consistent with the shows.
Right.
I always ask my guests that if we could peek into your closet,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
there'd be some pair of footwear, boots, something, shirts, jewelry, some piece of clothes that personifies who you, Dr. Roz, Elizabeth Rosner, is and why when you wear that thing, those shoes, those boots, clothes, glasses, whatever it is,
Yeah.
that it just radiates and says, I am Dr. Roz. Talk to us
Yes.
about that.
Okay, this is a great question. I love, love, love it. So, the glasses that I wear, I have some black for those of you that are on audio, I have some kind of larger black frame glasses. And then I have some tortoiseshell glasses. Those are the only two glasses I wear, pairs of glasses. And they came from Warby Parker. And so those are kind of my signature. The tortoiseshell ones, I think I've had for 6 or 7 years. I just keep, every time I need a new prescription, I just get the same frames. And I love Warby Parker. I love my heart-shaped ring. So I wear hearts every day and I look for hearts every day. There's even a page, Dr. LL, on my website that's for heart sightings. So like I've had people on their honeymoon. I've had people in Europe. I had somebody the other day in Egypt texted me a heart sighting in Egypt that I put on there. Like so looking for that. And then probably, I mean, I love all of my signature jackets because my designer and I work together on them. Probably my favorite one says beloved community on, like we wrote beloved community on it. And if you look at it from afar, it looks like swirlies. But when you really zoom in, it is different people, different women with different skin tones and different hairstyles, and they're all holding hands. And nobody is standing there, not holding somebody's hand. So again, it kind of looks like a swirl from the outside, but you really zoom in and it's people holding hands with other people. That's what it's
Oh,
about.
I love it. And maybe this is part of what you do. And you said your love sightings. I would love it if you had something, like they do these scavenger hunts, that it's some heart-shaped something that you give to your listeners, to your followers, to your clients, whomever. And wherever we go and we put it and we tag where we hit it, and somebody else has to find it and post it. So something fun like that, where you can really start the heart
Amazing.
movement and make it global. That if you
Yes.
find a heart, you've got to give a heart, or I don't know,
Yes.
something.
Yes. I
Be
love
fun.
it. I love it. Somehow, some geocaching, something, something, something. I
Yeah, yeah,
love
yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Along
Yeah.
those lines. Bingo, bingo,
Love it.
bingo. So
Love it. Love it.
with that, Dr. Roz, leading with love, thank you so much for being on our show today. Thank you for really thinking big, like stratospherically big, where you want 8 billion people to love 8 billion people, and that you're not letting anybody poop on your vision. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. LL, for me being here. Thank you for really this sisterhood and this delightful love that we have. And one day we will meet IRL and I'll get to give you a big hug in person. But until then, I'll just keep saying yes every time you invite me to anything. What you do is absolutely amazing. And I'm just delighted and really honored to be a part of things. So thank you.
And I thank you for your time and, just like I said, injecting positivity into this world, because we need it. Thank you, Dr. Roz.
Thank you. Bye bye.
And how about that fantastic intro by Touch Circle?